everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I wanted to give you a little tour of what is going on in the garden in April. A lot of flowers are starting to bloom and things are looking great. We'll start off here in my front cottage garden. As you can see, there are so many daffodils blooming. I am very happy. In between the daffodils, we have some delphinium that's returning, penstemon, phlox, feverfew, all kinds of flowers. The heuchera are bouncing back, and we have tulips in between the daffodils that bloom at different times. So right now we are in full swing with daffodils, and then come the tulips a little bit later. There's already some that are out, mostly pinks, but then the purple will continue after the pinks are done. I have some yarrow, some daisies. The alliums are starting to poke through. I can always tell the alliums because the allium foliage tatters up a bit. And you can see there how there are already some allium poking through their foliage, and they're gonna look gorgeous. In between all of the plants, I have some roses that are starting to leaf out, and some foxgloves that are returning from last year. They didn't flower last year because some of them are biennials, so some of them will be flowering for the first time this year. As you can see, they're bulking up, and there's quite a few varieties. The Excelsior, the Dalmatian, a bunch of them. And as well, the lilies are starting to poke through. I'm very excited about the lilies. And I have some lupine that I grew from seed last year that is starting to show. In between, I also have two small pots that have some poppies that I am experimenting this year with growing in flats and transplanting into the garden early. And there is some stock as well as California poppy that are in each small pot here. All of them were grown by seed. And in between all of that, I have some forget-me-nots that reseeded itself everywhere around here, and I can't wait till they bloom. They're gonna look gorgeous, and they serve as a ground cover, which is nice because I, as you can see, have edged pretty much the whole garden, and I did not add mulch. I don't think I am gonna add mulch because I want to have some ground cover instead, like ajuga, forget-me-nots, things that serve as natural ground cover and not mulch. I will add a bit of compost. This tulip is Green Emperor, and Green Emperor has returned to me every year. A little bit smaller than the original, but still beautiful. I love it so much. And I have some parrot tulips and some purple tulips that are starting to show out. I'm very happy about the feverfew has reseeded in the garden, which I'm excited about. I love feverfew. I have some more delphinium, and I have a lilac bush that seems to be getting bigger. I wish that there was more foliage in between, but we'll see how it goes. It's a little shaded in this area, but I have a Pilgrim David Austin rose, a Summer Wine 9 bark, and a little lime hydrangea that complement each other so well. And here we're moving towards the front of the house where I have my little angel statue. This is one of my favorite daffodils. It's Casada, I believe, and it's so gorgeous. I love how it looks. It looks like a butterfly. Here we have some more daffodils. This one's very pretty. I love that. I love this pale egg colored. I don't know. It's like weird. I think this is Salome. And then the star of my shrubs is the candy corn spirea in the back that takes on this yellow, chartreusey, red tinted leaves in the spring. And then it transitions to yellow. So gorgeous. And in back of there are some lilies growing. And in front of the candy corn spirea, I have double play Uzi, which is another spirea that I love a lot. And it has this burgundy foliage that turns a little bit greener as the time progresses. But in the spring, it has a beautiful, beautiful red tinged foliage that is super cute. I have my tree rose here, which is all yellow. And then in the back, I have a Don Juan climbing rose and some clematis. And the Don Juan climbing rose took a beating this winter. The rabbits munched all over it, but it is since rebounding. I have daisies and a bunch of other plants here. Here I have some ajuga that looks like it's gonna flower soon. I'm not sure what this blue purple flower is. I think this is also forget-me-not. Very pretty. I think so. I have some anemone that is returning and some lupine. So there's a lot of repetition in the garden. I try to repeat a lot of the things throughout the borders. And there's things in between all of these flowers that will give me some different aspects and some different colors as the season progresses. Here I have an eryngium that I grew from bulbs or starts job lot. Here I have one of the most prickly roses, and that's Gertrude Jekyll, and a Pinky Winky Prime Hydrangea. Look at how beautiful these tulips, and there's a peony tulip right there as well that has returned every year, and it is a double. And look at another candy corn spirea back there. So beautiful. Here is my whipcord arborvitae that I love so much. And there is where, this hole right here is where the peach tree was. So now that the peach tree is in here, there will be more sunlight into this garden. And hopefully plants will be more sturdier and get more sun that they need. Thrive a little bit more without the competition of the peach. And I have some irises near the water pipe. They seem to thrive in this area, of course. I have my pink avalanche hydrangea that is starting to leaf out. A Molinex rose from David Austin. And this took a beating as well, which is a Escott Gold Euphorbia. That's what it is. And I love this plant when it flowers in the spring. Hopefully I'll get some blooms on it. But it took a beating by the rabbits, but it's rebounding back. Here I have some salvia and some more tulips. I have another rose here. And I have here a Let's Dance Can Do hydrangea that is absolutely gorgeous in the summer. And it blooms on old and new wood. And this year, it didn't take too much damage. So there's a lot of foliage and flower buds. So I can't wait to see how big it grows. And back there are some peonies that are doing very well now that the peach tree isn't here. This is mostly my salvia area. And look at this beauty, which is a Tulipa tarde, which is a type of species tulip. I love it so much. I was going to get a new one, but I realized that mine is growing in the garden. I thought I had lost it, but here it is. As you can see, the heuchera that's scattered all along the garden is growing its new foliage, and the tattered foliage is on the side that I need to clean up. There's lilies poking through, some more salvia, penstemon. It's a lot of things that are starting to pop up. I have my rhododendrons here. My rhododendrons were flowering. Now they have petered out after a small freeze that we had 2 nights ago. But as you can hear my peacock in the background. Here I have a climbing rose that is now cascading to the front, and I can't wait to see it contrast with the foliage of the rhododendron. And my other rhododendrons are going to be flowering soon. In between that, I have a cascading rose in the front as well. And I am always surprised by these yellow tulips that grow every year. I don't know what they are, but they're so cute, and I would love to add more. And they match the daffodils as well. Scattered in between there is a bunch of phlox. Another hydrangea here. The dreaded hostas are coming back. They were here since I moved here, but over the years I have moved a lot of them out and given some away. But I love this variegated one, and I've been leaving it. But next door I have the regular one, and it does provide shade for some of the plants in the summer. And they do a nice contrast to the bushes, but I really can't stand them. In the front of the house, I have my 2 standard limelight hydrangeas, and they are leafing out. Some yarrow at the bottom, daffodils, grape hyacinths. Here in front of my driveway, I have these orange tulips that come every year. Some dianthus, a rose, a double knockout rose, and it seems like the rabbits went to town in here. And I have somewhat mirrored it on this side as well. There are some bearded iris in here, the knockout double roses, and the sedum, as well as a small rose, shrub rose that I have here. It's so gorgeous. The creeping phlox is starting to flower. And I also have a clematis that will be growing up this trellis as well as the street sign. Here I have my fruit orchard that is in the making. And some of the fruit trees are flowering. There are all my dogs. Well, some of them. There's 2 more that are missing. Layla. Asian pears are flowering. Regular pears are flowering. And my red buds are flowering. As you can see, they put these beautiful pink flowers on their branches. And it's absolutely gorgeous. The whole tree is covered in those little pink blooms. The plums are flowering as well. And the apricots are flowering as well. They were a little damaged by the frost, but they have been doing all right. I also have a weeping willow that I have been training and kind of pollarding somewhat. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying to keep it miniature because it grows massive each year, and I want it to stay miniature so it doesn't hit the telephone or the cable poles. Underneath all of my trees, I have some tulips, daffodils, and some bearded iris planted. If you follow me on Instagram at Garden of Jenny, you would know that I have been looking for an Eden Climber rose, and I finally found one at my local farm store, actually. And I'm so happy. I'm looking for the right trellis and the right spot to put her, but I am very happy. And she's sitting on my garden bench that has a planter that has some chives that are going to flower, and some creeping jenny, some stock, and some poppies that I just threw in the mix there, as well as next to my David Austin Skeptal of Islay rose. And I have a small arborvitae that I stuck in here. I have some other things at the bottom. In my shed, I have some more daffodils, of course, and I have some hydrangeas on either side of the shed door. And these are Fab Fit hydrangeas, I believe they're called. Fire Fab Bit. Fire Fit Fab? One of the two. I have some ajuga here, a Montauk daisy that I chopped up because it was very leggy and it has since rebounded. The rabbits absolutely destroyed this Nandina. I have a false cypress here and a spirea that is absolutely gorgeous, filled with white cascading flowers. And we're headed to the side of the shed, which I'm building a garden here. And this right here, this is my smoke bush. I apologize for the animals screaming, but my Japanese Pyrus has finished flowering, and it was absolutely gorgeous. It came in pink blooms. I have some bearded iris everywhere, and some peonies in the mix, as well as more spireas. And I'm still working on this. It's a work in progress. One of my chicken coops, I have a small garden that I'm trying to make a little garden bed, and then I have some daylilies that I transplanted from my pool area that were completely taking over and obnoxious, and it's hard to grow anything near the chickens, so I gave them a chance here near the chickens, and they're doing wonderful, and I don't mind them growing crazy here, as well as some boxwoods that have surprisingly taken some shade. They don't mind it here. And right around the corner of this, I have transplanted a hydrangea that my cousin got me years ago from a garden center in New Jersey, and I don't know what it is. It is a panicle, but it is a very different looking panicle. My garden beds that I created a year and a half ago, and these garden beds are next to my walkway to my balcony. And as you can see, Empress Wu is starting to grow. I have some hellebores that I have planted in containers and planted them out here. I have a small hydrangea that I got from an extra piece from the Costco hydrangeas that I recently got. There's a small arborvitae. And here's where I also keep my species tulip. And I'll show you what the species tulips were looking like. They were absolutely gorgeous. And there's one last species tulip that is going to flower in red. The other ones were yellow and they were beautiful. I have some foxglove, some roses, daffodils. I think this is tete-a-tete. And this is a spirea that's absolutely beautiful as well. In one of my other beds on the walkway, I have some butter bar that was flowering. As you can see, they were flowering. And what they say about this plant, the first and second year, they don't really do much. But now, they are taking over near the fountain. And I'm not mad at them, but I hope that they don't cross over the walkway. But they get massive. And I'm hoping that they will cover the daffodil foliage once the daffodils peter out. And also I have some hydrangeas, some foxglove here, a Japanese maple that took a beating during the storm. I have some Jacob's ladder in here, some more hostas, and this is my shade garden. And I have a camellia in here. The front of this border gets a lot of sun, but towards the back, it kind of goes on and off. I think as the days go by, in the afternoon it gets some sun, but during the morning the sun is over here. And I have a lot of hellebores in here, some roses, a lot of ground covers, phlox, creeping thyme, Ruta, and some mint, different kind of mints like chocolate mints and whatnot. And this has been a work in progress because this soil was very rocky and I didn't know what to do with it, but now I have kind of played with plants that really like growing in here and it's doing a lot better and it is getting a lot of color. There's some May apples here, gorgeous, and they get more and more every year. Stinking hellebore. Forget-me-nots. All kind of plants in here. And recently on Facebook, I was in a plant group on Facebook, and a lady was so kind to be parting ways with a lot of perennial cactuses in the area, and she said grab as many as you want, and I got a whole bunch because this is kind of an edge that needs to stay. It's like the foundation of the house, so I've covered it with cactus